Tarvin Family Association YouTube channel. I'm Roger Hoffman, the current president of the association. Today I'd like to talk about the history of the Tarvin Book Project in the Tarvin Family Association. Soon after the organization of the Tarvin Family Association in the mid-1980s, our founder, Sarah Thompson Tarvin, envisioned a Tarvin book containing names of all the Tarvin descendants from Reverend George Tarvin. Gathering family history information from all branches of the Tarvin family was a driving goal for Sarah. She wrote hundreds of letters to various Tarvin cousins and tried to develop their interest in this worthy project. The Tarvin Family Association was organized mostly for the purpose of preserving family history information. In those days, letter writing to cousins was a primary way of sharing family information. Research for our early Tarvin book often needed to be done by correspondence with scattered cousins. This took a lot of time and effort. At the 1984 Tarvin reunion, Sarah was presented with an original drawing that is the first known attempt to document the descendants of Reverend George Tarvin. The drawing was made in 1897 when Richard J. Tarvin created a depiction of the Tarvin family. Reverend George Tarvin, along with his wife, Miss Craycraft, are represented as the main trunk of the tree with roots in England. George's 13 children are represented as main branches off the trunk. The grandchildren are shown as twigs, and the great-grandchildren are depicted as leaves. That tree was quite the project for 1897, but it was done with the limited knowledge that Richard J. Tarvin had at the time. Here is the depiction of his line 10 cousins, the branch with George IV and his children and grandchildren. His tree depicts only 4 children for George IV and only 3 grandchildren. George IV actually had 8 children and about 46 grandchildren. Richard had very limited knowledge of the movements of his line 10 cousins. 3 generations later, in 1984, how do you depict the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the leaves on that original tree? The original plan had been to publish one Tarvin family book for this family that was thought to be small. At early Tarvin reunions in the 1980s, the Tarvin cousins would gather and exchange genealogical information with each other. Much of the data came from family records and had been acquired over many years. The goal that had been envisioned was creating a book that listed all of the descendants of Reverend George Tarvin, from all 13 of his children. Remember that in those days there was no internet, and the computers were not in widespread use. The way that you did descendancy research was to write letters to cousins and try to gather their information and get them to respond and piece it together like a big puzzle. By this time there were thousands of descendants. By early 1985, Sarah had decided that what was needed was a book of all Tarvin descendants. Sarah asked one of her line 10 cousins, Shirley Ferguson Brown, to be the editor of the book. Shirley was an avid genealogist and by the end of 1985 had already donated hundreds of hours of work on the project. Genealogy books in the 1980s were symbolic of a completed task of research. When you got all your research done, you would create a book. It was the final word. It was a milestone. And it was state-of-the-art in genealogy. The internet didn't exist. All the known records for genealogy were housed in courthouses and other repositories. Those were hard to access, and researchers would have to go to the courthouses and copy records and compile them into books for better access. By 1989, it was clear that one book could not contain all of the Tarvin descendants. It was determined that each Tarvin line would have its own book, and various editors were assigned to their own lines. The Line 10 book had the most progress completed on it, so it became the first that was to be published. Shirley Brown had done the preliminary layout work and sample pages, displayed them at a reunion, and sent copies of the material to Vern Hoffman, the new Tarvin Book Committee chairman. This was in 1991. In the Lifeline newsletter in 1993, Vern Hoffman, who is now the book chairman, reported that the Line 10 books had been printed and received and shipped to those who had ordered them just before Christmas 1993. Vern said, 100 books were ordered from the publisher and we received 5 extra, making a total of 105. Before the reunion, 90 had been sold, leaving a balance of 15. The cost of each book was $50, and they sold for $40 with the association underwriting $10. In 1994, in the newsletter, Vern stated that there were 12 more lines to finish. Lines 1 and 3 were in progress, as well as line 4. A new contact was made with a line 7 descendant to begin work on that line. Vern briefly explained the numbering system that we've used in all the books and ever since. The line 1 book was published in 1997. Vern's son and my brother, Gary Hoffman, took over the Tarvin Book Project in 1999. The Line 3 book was published in 2001. It was the largest book published to date, with a total of 832 pages. The Line 7 book, assembled by Charlene Talbot, was published in 2003. The Line 12 book, assembled by Jim McCabe, was published in 2013. In all, 5 different Tarvin lines had descendancy books published in book form. These books are large and heavy, and interest in physical books has diminished in recent years for a variety of reasons. These first Tarvin books were all descendancy books, meaning it showed all of the known descendants of a common ancestor. One of the nice things about that is that the purchasers of the books could see their own name and family listed in the book, as well as how they connected to the common ancestor. But one of the problems with descendancy books is that the work is never finished because time marches on and new cousins keep being discovered and added and new generations keep being born. CDs are available from the Tarvin website for 3 of the 5 published books. This is helpful for the books that are out of print. Plus they are lighter and take up less space. As new lines are completed, such as the Line 11 book assembled by Dave Tribby, they will be assembled in a PDF format for CD or online access via the Tarvin website. In the future, we plan to publish one last book, that of our colonial Tarvin ancestors. Rather than becoming obsolete over the passage of time like a descendancy book, this book will concentrate in one place what we know about our Tarvin ancestors and their origins in America. Gary plans this book to be about 250 pages. Here in the present day, rather than printing new books, it is much easier to discover our family history relationships through online sources, such as FamilySearch.org, Ancestry.com, and Findagrave.com. These websites have been around for 25 or 30 years and have improved over time and are great resources to us for researching our family trees. The Tarvin Online Genealogy Database, maintained on the Tarvin website by Gary Hoffman, is available to all association members to research and add to our database of over 40,000 Tarvin family descendants. This is our association's private collection, and you can access it, but you will need Gary's help for the purpose of updating or correcting information on the database. The Tarvin Book Project has been a worthy project for the association over the years, and has helped fulfill the purposes of the association. Much time and effort has gone into the research, planning, and publication of the books. We offer our thanks to many who devoted hundreds of hours to plan, format, publish, and distribute the books. There still are books in the inventory for line 1 and line 12 cousins. Thanks for watching. You can find the links to the Tarvin website in the summary. Please like and subscribe and view previous videos also that we have published. Thank you.